Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share a birthday card that I made for my nephew. It's a TriFold angled card. And he's just 9, so it's sort of a boy card. And it's actually pretty simple to make. I've used these edgeables, but in a little bit different way. So let me show you how it's made. Okay, so we're going to start with our card base. This is 12 by 8, and I've scored it at 4 and at 8. So you can kind of see those score lines in there. Measure up 4 inches, and I'm just going to put a little mark. And I'm going to use my cutter to cut from this corner to that mark. Okay. Now that creates my base card. And you can have it go, this way, or if you wanted it to go that way. And I know I've seen them where it's straight across on the top, so you cut from the set that score line down, but I actually kind of like the angles on all 3 sides. I don't know, it's just a personal preference. Actually, no, I don't want it this way. I want it this way. And the reason I want it that way is because I want to write my message on here. So now when you mat and layer these kinds of cards, it's a little bit different. Because you've got the slope, but also then you have to think about, you need to mat this piece, this piece, this piece, and this piece. So you need to mat both sides of that center, because this side shows when it's closed and that side shows when it's open. Now what I did is, and there's multiple ways you can do this, I actually cut my mat layers out of the dark blue and then the stripes, and these are 12 inches wide. And then this one is just under 8 inches, and this one is just a little bit, 1/4 inch shy of that. And what I thought I would do, and I think this will work, is I'm effectively going to do the same thing on each of these. So I'm going to measure up 4 inches and put a little mark. And same on this one. I haven't tried this method before, but in theory it should work. So let's see. We're going to try it out. So then we're going to cut, again, from that corner down to my pencil line. Now, the way that I've done this before is this is 4 inches wide, and I've just measured up to that corner and measured to that corner and tried to kind of do it, which works, but I'm going to try this way. So in theory, I should be able to cut a slice off that's just shy of 4 inches and see it'll work perfectly. Now, I didn't cut the middle stripe because I'm actually going to put my sentiment on there just in white. Okay, I want the stripes on the other side. But this one, the angle goes the other direction, right? It goes that way. Let me see, get it up here so you can see. See, it goes this way, so that's not going to work. Now this is where I told you, this is how I did it before. So this piece this corner is 6 3/4. So I'm going to cut this piece to 6 and just shy of 6 3/4 by just a little bit shy of the 4. because it's 4 inches wide. And then I measure this edge, and it's, if I cut it to 5 1/4, it should work. So I've just put a little mark at the 5 1/4. That's where I need to cut it. For my stripes, because I don't want to waste a whole nother sheet of 12 by 12 card, and I can't use this one because the stripes are going the wrong way. So I cut a piece that's going to go on there, and then I'm going to cut just another piece up here, and I'm just going to lay those together. See, and you'll see that seam, but it's not too bad. So you know what I'm going to do? Put that up there. I'm just going to mark that corner. And this lets you essentially kind of cheat and not waste so much paper. And see, by the time you get it on there, no one's going to know. And so that's going to go on that back side. And because most of the time it's going to be underneath this layer, so it's really not going to show. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these mats in layers, but not onto my card base. And I'll explain why in a minute. Okay, so I got those ready, but I've got my party that are going to go on each of the angles. This is an edgeable die from Crafter's Companion. It says party, and it cuts like this. And I didn't want a full thing of the silver, but I wanted the letters out of silver. So what I did is I just took a scrap of card, I cut it like that, and then you can just release. And I cut, when I do this, I cut at an angle so that the silver will be underneath that matte layer. But you just want to release it like that. And I did that 3 times. Now you see why I didn't put my matte layers on yet. So like this is going to go on, but I'm going to put the silver underneath it like that so that it's trapped between the card base and my matte layer. Okay, just like that. So we're going to go ahead and glue these onto my matte layers, and then I'm going to glue it onto there. And the party part, the words, are going to stick up above the card. They're just going to be like that. Okay, so I'm going to open it up because it'll make it a little bit easier to see. And you just want to make sure those words fit within the score line. Now I can glue my whole matte layer down. Now you can glue the word onto the card base if you find that easier. Whatever's easier for you. Okay, now I did that middle one. Now remember, this one goes this way, so don't glue it on here. It's got to go on here, and with my small matte layer and my party, like that, okay? And see, this is what I mean by keeping it within the score line, because if you slide it too much that way, then it's sticking off the card. So that one goes that way, that one goes that way. And then I can go ahead and put this on here. Now this one goes this way. And again, I'm going to do the same thing with my party. So now I've got party, party, party. And then I have it's your birthday. And I cut the birthday. This is actually, and I wanted the same font, so I used another edgeable, but I just cut it with the edge of my card right here on the edge, and then it releases. And I'm going to use this as a drop shadow. I think I'm going to put this on the inside here. Yeah, I think I'm going to put that at an angle. And then I cut some stars out of mirror card that I'm going to use to decorate. So if you want to back those, so see how this one is white on the back? If you want them to be silver on the back, then what you need to do is you take your piece of silver card and you're going to cut it this way so you basically cut into the back of the card. And oops, I can do it that way. And I'm just going to cut it right on the edge because I don't need anything. I'm just going to glue it to the back of the other one. I don't need it to go, I don't want it to go down behind the layer because I already put the layer down. And you could do this on all of them if you wanted. And it just makes it look a little more finished or professional or whatever you want to call it. But this is how I did the birthday. See how it's right on that edge? And then all you have to do is trim off just the little tiny little extra pieces. Now, the only bad thing is my plates are kind of marked up. My mat is, so it kind of left marks on there. And you're just going to glue that right onto the back of the white, like that. And then it won't look quite so. It would look better if I had used some fresh plates or put some paper down underneath it so that I didn't mark up especially with mirror card. Mirror card really marks badly. But it'll look better than the white, I think. And I really should have done that before I put the party onto the sides, but I do think that looks better, even if it is marked up. So I'll show you what I mean. So see, it looks the same from the other side, but when you open it, instead of white, you get that silver. Now, if you wanted to do these as well, the other two, you could do the same thing on those, but they don't really show, not like that one. It's 4 by 8 3/4, about, almost 9, but it'll fit in a DL envelope. So anyway, thanks for watching.